So on Instagram, Truly Love Dose, TRULYLOVEDOSE. If he wants respect, loyalty, feminine softness, he needs to bring emotional safety, consistency, effort, and integrity. Matt Gottesman says they're gonna have to go through God to get to you. I love this. That is the most powerful position you could hold. Not as a wall, not as a way to shut people out, as a way to honor what God is building in you. When you let God filter who gets access to your life, everything will shift for you, because when it arrives that way, you won't have to hold it together with effort. It'll hold itself because it's built on something real. So let God be the filter and let God lead the process. Let God bring in who God brings in, God's timing and God's way, and trust that what God sends will be worth every moment you waited. Amen. That's what I need to hear today. Charles Myssy, last name spelled Myssy, says adult love is deeply confronting and an initiation ground into deeper intimacy and maturity. Not only with your partner, but most importantly with yourself. Child psychology does not relate to partners as adults, but as parents. So as an adult carrying a lot of unintegrated inner child content will place an unhealthy level of unmet needs and expectations for safety, validation, soothing, rescue, and approval onto their partners, and a partner still stuck in their own child psychology will carry it. This happens when someone has not grieved childhood attachment wounds and individuated from child love to adult love, and how it relates to intimacy and relationships. Children love upward through rescue and dependency. Adults love across through mutual responsibility. And I just feel like, personally, like I needed to read that because there's somebody I'm dealing with who I feel like I had to make all the effort, and now I don't even want to. And I don't think it helps them. I see them becoming like more spoiled, rotten. And I feel like for my own sake, like I deserve a love that also makes effort and doesn't look that I should be the one that has to take care of them. Like, that it might take them too late. It might be that they only realize my lovability, that I was all their dreams come true after they already lost the initial opportunity, because I can't love this person again. They let me down at times where I would have needed them to be there for me. And I would never be able to trust this person again in that way. They don't get the most pure, innocent version of me. Victoria Miretti says, to heal abandonment wound, let the self be abandoned and misunderstood and rejected. And I actually did this with this person. And so now they don't have the power to abandon me again. I felt like the person one day just blocked me because they didn't like something I was saying without any warning. And I felt deep inside a sense of like, oh, so this is the smaller person. But as a woman, I have to be the bigger person, so I'm the mother. And I realized after that, this is somebody who I could say was a possibility of like a soulmate, but now became somebody who because they abandoned me and I had to become stronger, I now became like on the higher level. So I don't feel that this person is somebody that I could look to as to fulfill me, because then even though I went back and I used two other people's phones and I got in touch with them and I said, let me do better, I see you were very hurt. It came from a place of losing respect for this person because they couldn't communicate, because they can't even do for me what they want me to do for them. They would never have the power to do what I did. So I just realized I'm like on a higher level. So it's not mutual responsibility. And this person doesn't even think they need to learn how to communicate. They think that I should just be easy for them. And I just don't, they want like the watered down, toned down version of me, but they think that's going to only be in the areas where they don't like certain things about conflict or repairing ruptures. In fact, they're going to get the diluted version of me all across, and the things that I need others for I will go to others. And the other people will get my loyalty and my commitment and my gratitude. This person lost that. So it's like a sense of grieving, but staying connected. And in that way, like not feeling that the person is valuable. So they lost their value to me. And the truth is that now I felt for a moment like, what if they block me again? And I started feeling a pit in my stomach. And I said, you know what? Better to let somebody block me who doesn't want to be in my life than to try to force somebody. Better to let the people who want to be in my life be in my life. And so basically I'm going to read it again. Victoria Miretti. Victoria, Miretti. She says, to heal abandonment wounds, you let yourself be abandoned, misunderstood, and rejected, even when the person doesn't make sense. And you abandon relationships before abandoning your own needs, boundaries, and desires. This person, I feel, can't meet my needs, doesn't honor my boundaries, doesn't know how to make me feel like valid, doesn't know how to emotionally like hold space, really bad communication skills, and my desires like for being pampered by a man. The fact that I would let someone, when other people are doing it for me on their own, it's like this person became really stingy, depriving, and neglectful, and it really hurt. And eventually I realized, actually, it doesn't matter. Let somebody better come in, So she says, turn away breadcrumbs, choose to be alone with the hope. Rather choose to be alone with the hope of someone who can actually meet me, acting in alignment to my worthiness rather than accepting less just to not feel momentary loneliness. She said, when you begin to understand mostly that people's behavior has more to do with them and their projection than with me. staying curious for growth and self-reflection, but confident in what I bring and no longer collapsing into self-blame, which is like, oh, you want to be stingy? Oh, that's so sad for you. You know, I'm making space in my life for somebody who's super generous and just wants to make me smile all the time, because the best, most lightest version of me is going to bring them up easily, instead of like depriving me so that they could feel like I'm not using them. Rather, somebody who goes out of their way as a man to be a giver because it's classy and masculine, you know, like, yeah. So if someone's right for me, their effort, consistency, willingness to meet me and try, and not perfection, but presence. This person I don't feel gives me the right amount of presence. I feel like he's like come and go and like one word responses, and like if it's a topic he likes, he gets involved, and otherwise he's just like flat and not interesting. He doesn't even try to be interesting for me. Doesn't call me, doesn't answer my calls. Sort of like, you know, just maybe like a pet. He wants me to like see him as a pet. And so I can't look at that man as somebody who I would give my sexual energy to or devotion to or submission. You know, yeah, with the right partner, she says you feel understood, celebrated for who you are. This is somebody who wanted to like reduce me so it'd be easier for them to just like use me like a vending machine. They could, I'm letting it be that there's room, like, but I also kind of gave up on this person, and that's really sad for them, because as a Pisces, the other person doesn't realize, like at first we vulnerable, we pour our heart out because we're coming from innocence. We're coming from like, I'm not using you, I'm just giving you a chance. And at a certain point, you totally lose faith and trust and respect in the other person, but you could be with them. They just don't realize. And there's a energy technique I use, which is like I pull all my energy back in and I send all the energy back. And people don't realize the ways in which they were dependent on my energy field and my nurture. I can notice they start to come to me a little frantic. Like there was someone I was pulling back from, and the distance caused the person to become frantic. He had no clue that I was supporting him so much in the background, in a gentle way, in a soft, feminine way. And he started making a lot more efforts just to stay connected. And I appreciated it. And I started to maintain a little bit of like connection. And this person will realize on his own. He has to see that if you don't take good care of something, you lose it. Use it or lose it. And when I mean use it, I mean, like, if he doesn't like use the time he has with me, he'll lose the time he has with me. And if he takes my love for granted, then he'll lose it. So then she says, a lot of time we override that warning sign, hoping it's not true, waiting around for the person to show up for us anyway. No longer we swim in confusion because they used to, or waiting for them to go back to being the person that used to show up for me. I feel like there was a time where he wanted me to like him, this man, and then once I actually liked him, he didn't realize how valuable that was. And it was like all his issues started coming up. And instead of communicating with me and being brave, he sort of pushed me away. So he'll never get the opportunity to go through those things again, because I would have been the one to hold space. It's like he didn't go into the heart that had a home, that made a home for him, because he was like wanting the control. He didn't realize what he really wanted was to feel at home in my heart. So it's sad. It's like when you can't force a kid to tell the truth and they have chocolate all over their face and they're lying to your face and you're just like, okay, have it your way. Meanwhile, if they would tell the truth, you'd have like a more real relationship with them, and they would feel that. Like the person who is willing to show up and be brave, they feel that you respect them. They feel that like you honor them for their courage. She says you have to take what's in front of you at face value, accept things have changed. They're not the person you hoped they were. You account to yourself and move accordingly, cutting the losses. She says, let people think what they want to think about you without wanting control over the narrative and to make it right. You prioritize your peace and walk away from situations and people who are not aligned, and stop trying to convince people that are committed to not understanding me. And finally, no more pleasing. No.more.pleasing on Instagram says what to say to manipulators. The minimizer, somebody who just, and it doesn't have to be how they speak to you, it could be how they treat you. You tell the person in your own words, you don't get to decide how deep it is for me. Or, I'm not asking you to understand it, I'm asking you to respect it. And then what about the flipper? You say, we're not done talking about what I brought up. Or, I'm not going to apologize for bringing this up. Or the gaslighter, you say, I'm not debating what happened, I was there. Or, I trust my memory, I don't need you to confirm it. Or the just joking one, you say it again without a laugh. Or if it's a joke, explain what's funny. And then the one with the army, you say, this is between us, not a committee. So, or you say, I don't need a majority vote to have a boundary. Shifra, and then I have a few more things I want to share. So Shifra Freed says, teens are trying to find control. And I think we're dealing with inner teenagers in ourselves and in each other in relationships. So I like this, I wrote it down. She says, teens, or let's say versions of ourselves that are teenage selves, are trying to find control in a world that feels big, confusing, and often overwhelming. So they push back, not because they want to fight, but because they're wired to test limits as they figure out who they are. Doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you're in the thick of it. When it feels like a struggle, like lighting a match to gasoline, you, one, stay steady. Your calm is more powerful than your chaos. And I learned this as calm equals leadership. So I'm going to write that down 1 second. And the second thing she said was, don't take the bait. Underneath the attitude is a kid who still wants to feel safe and seen. And number 3, choose connecting over correcting, even when it's hard. And she says, regulate before communicate is the way to be in calm equals leadership. And then I have some 12-step literature from a program where it said you can take care of yourself no matter what circumstances you're in. It's like a belief that has to integrate. I could take care of myself no matter what circumstances I'm in. And then there's the Bill of Rights. This is for relationships. Life has choices beyond mere survival. You have the right to say no to anything. Not only relationships, this is for everything. Life has choices beyond mere survival. You have the right to say no to anything when you feel unready or unsafe. Life can be free of fear. You have a right to terminate conversations with people who make you feel put down and humiliated. You're not guilty. You have a right to all your feelings. There's no need to smile when you cry. You have a right to make mistakes. You're not a mistake. You can be healthier than those around you. You can be angry at someone you love. It's okay to be relaxed. It's okay to be relaxed, playful, and thrive. You have a right to change, grow, and be successful. It's important to set limits, boundaries, and practice self-love and self-care. And we'll stop here. I wish everybody all the best. Bye.